your body is burning fat.
Right.
And then brings your cholesterol levels to the optimal level while you are fasting and not eating anything.
Right.
So it's interesting. Welcome back to the Kingdom Fasting Podcast. I'm Bree, a registered nurse.
I'm Dr. Sam Sims, a nurse anesthesiologist.
And we are talking about fasting and why it should matter to you. So this week we're talking about fasting, why it should matter to me for our physical health with fasting. What comes with fasting, all the physical benefits. And so this is a huge encouragement, we hope, for you to fast.
Yes.
Encouragement and motivation to fast because we love fasting. We want to share it with the world. And you're part of the world. So we're glad you're here listening. So I thought we would start off this episode by just sharing the benefits that we have found personally in our own lives to our physical health since we've started fasting about 5 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 2019. And so we've been fasting for over 5 years, more like 5.5 years maybe. We've experienced a lot of physical benefits during that 5 years. And so I thought I would just start by mentioning a few. We could just go back and forth and share a few things. And then we want to get into some of the research with you so you don't just have to take our word for it. The first biggest physical benefit that I received from fasting was improved gut health because my guts were a mess for a long time, most of my life. The rest that my gut received from fasting was huge for me because I had been suffering from different stomach ailments, infections, allergies, all kinds of stuff. And fasting improved that. Even in just one 24-hour fast, the results were noticeable, and it's been huge for my health over the last 5 years. So that's my first thing. That's my number one. What about you?
Well, my number one would be my 80 pounds of weight loss. I tried for 10 years doing exercise more, eat less, counting calories, macros, all the different diets, all the things that are supposed to work in the textbooks, and found out that those have a 99% failure rate. So actually, I grafted, so it's kind of fun to show that graft. So that'd be my first one. But then realizing that fasting actually carries on additional benefits that you don't get with caloric restriction.
Right.
So what's your next one?
So I was probably going to say weight loss too.
Okay.
And just being able to keep that sort of yearly midlife creep that kind of happens, that extra 5 pounds every year that then you have trouble keeping off. Fasting is an incredible way to keep your weight at a healthy place and be able to be active physically. And so fasting does that for me, helps me keep my weight in a comfortable, healthy place and be more physically active. So that would be number 2 for me, too.
I like the fact that it doesn't decrease your metabolism and you maintain your muscle mass. That's my next one. So I was just as strong in the fasted state that I was in the unfasted state. I learned that it boosts your human growth hormone, so I maintain my muscle mass. I have scans where my muscle mass is maintained while I'm losing weight, and not having to count calories and macros anymore is huge. And caloric restriction actually drops your metabolism, so you eventually start to regain the weight, and you can't cut your calories to a certain point. You can't go any lower. Yes, you can regain weight after you stop fasting, just like anything else, but the nice thing about fasting is it will always work, and you can always go back to it. And you can always reset.
Right, exactly. Unlike other fad diets. So
yes,
it's really, really the long-term lifestyle, and just, it's an amazing gift that God's given us for
our genetics. What you inherited from your ancestors. They all fasted, and so that's what you are living proof of people who survived from fasting, and that's the genetics that you have.
Yes. So the next benefit for me would probably be that it balances hormones and recycles old cells. So we have a history of cancer in my family, and so fasting is really important to me to mitigate that risk of cancer, and research has proven that. And so fasting is a big part of my health routine for that reason. And the autophagy that happens during fasting was also important for me for hormone balance, because my hormones were kind of wackadoo, and I've had issues with fibroids. The fasting has, I'm happy to report, shrunk the fibroids and also helped balance my hormones. And so I know there's a lot of women out there who struggle with that issue, and men too, especially in this day and age and all the toxins in our environment and food. And so fasting has been huge for hormone balance, and not just, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, but also like thyroid and insulin and all of those kind of hormones as well. So it balances everything and keeps your body at a more stable homeostasis like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I will say something about the other things about hormones is it actually resets your hunger hormones. And so people are like, I can't fast because I get hangry. It's actually, if you fast, you'll stop getting hangry. Mm-hmm. Ironically, you'll stop getting hangry because you'll reset those hormones. And you mentioned the word autophagy. Autophagy is when your body goes and looks for certain cells that are bad and breaks those down. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't need. And ironically, wasn't my next one, but I'm just going to talk about it. So we talked about autophagy. Mm-hmm. Is as men get older, one of the things that happens is their prostate can get bigger. And then there's some issues with that. And there's risk of prostate cancer. Well, a lot of the prostate medications that they give, like Flomax and stuff, those actually stimulate autophagy in the prostate. And that's how they work. And you can fast to stimulate autophagy. The other interesting thing, right, and rather than medication. And so, as my own little study, my dad has had prostate surgery. My two brothers are on prostate medications, one older and one younger, and I'm not. And everything is working fine. So that's the interesting thing, is that it can actually be as effective as medication.
But before you lost the weight, you thought that you were maybe going to have to go on medication for that. And so once you lost the weight with fasting, and you kept it up and continued to fast, then
that's right. We were looking like I was going to have to go on the medication, and so I haven't had to do that. So that would be. I'm going to caveat off of that, but I'm going to take another one real quick because I did actually, for the first time since we were married, after I started fasting, my cholesterol became normal. So I have normal cholesterol now.
Yes, that was another huge one for me too. I'm going to jump in on that too because my thyroid, I had Hashimoto's, and when you have low thyroid and your body's attacking your thyroid, and it's an autoimmune thing. A lot of people have it nowadays. Your cholesterol tends to be high with that. And so with the fasting, that was able to bring my cholesterol down to normal level as well, a safe level. And so the fasting is really huge for lowering cholesterol, which is super interesting because your body is burning fat.
Right. And
then brings your cholesterol levels to the optimal level while you are fasting and not eating anything.
Right.
So it's interesting.
And sometimes when you're doing a longer fast or you're in a fast, your cholesterol levels will be higher during the fast if you check it, but that's because your body's actually using it. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the interesting things. The other thing that it also fixed was A1C is a marker for diabetes. Mm-hmm. And I have 4 of the 5 high-risk markers for diabetes in my DNA. Mm-hmm. And it's... my family has a real big risk with diabetes, lots of issues with diabetes. So I basically couldn't lose the weight and basically just came to the conclusion that I was going to get diabetes because I just couldn't lose the weight. Mm-hmm. And so when I fasted, that's another thing that has completely reset. And now my A1C is the lowest. It's completely normal, everything. So basically defeated the diabetes risks in my DNA by fasting.
Yeah, which is incredible how many people could say that right now.
And as you can see, we actually do our lab work while we do this. We actually track it and make sure we're doing it not only safely, but actually seeing what it's actually doing to our body. Mm-hmm. And the other hormone that reset was my testosterone. My testosterone was really low. Yeah. And so I did a longer fast, and we'll talk about that another time. But I got my testosterone way into the normal range, and now it's just fine. Yeah. So I was able to reset. So I didn't have I was at risk of low T because of my lab results, and then I fasted and reset that back to normal.
Yeah, super incredible. So another example of balancing hormones through fasting. So many benefits of fasting that God's given us that we're just now becoming aware of with all this research that's been coming out. But I would have to say for me, another huge one was the mental clarity that I get with fasting, because I had a lot of issues with brain fog and just exhaustion, headaches, migraines, like kind of all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And fasting decreases the inflammation in your body so much. And there's certain things that are released while you're fasting that aren't released during other times, and one of those is a hormone that helps your brain focus and gives you mental clarity. So for someone who struggles to focus sometimes and has a lot of brain fog, the mental clarity that I get with fasting and just sort of the after effects of that, of being just so happy. Like, it really improves your mood, fasting does. And so it's kind of like exercise in that way, where you have mental clarity, more energy, and it improves your mood. And so that was huge for me as far as fasting goes, especially as a woman, and just the different monthly cycles and hormones and daily stuff. That can be a struggle sometimes for women. And so fasting helps hugely with that.
Yeah, and definitely there is research that I've actually looked into. There's research we'll talk about it next time about the research with depression and fasting and how it actually helps with depression. But we're going to talk about mental next time. The other one that I found extremely fascinating that I also saw in myself was you get actually what they call anti-aging metabolites. They can test your blood system, and so the people that are younger have these metabolites in their system, and people don't have them when they're older. But when people fast, they get these anti-aging metabolites actually show back up. So it's actually been shown to increase like skin tone and also make you look younger. And my example of that is when I was heavy, I went to a high school reunion, and then 2 years later, I lost the weight, and people said, besides the white in my beard, they said, you look like you did in high school. So I was like, well, nobody said that 2 years ago when I was here before I fasted. And now that I've fasted for 2 years, I then looked like people thought I looked like I hadn't really aged that much. So it is anti-aging, and it's not only documented and research based, but that's personally I've noticed that too.
Yeah.
And Brienne is 97, so I mean, so as you can see.
No.
It works really good.
But as a woman, the fact that it's anti-aging is motivation to fast.
Right,
I mean, it's good, right? I mean, we're all pretty happy with it.
We have kids in our 20s, so there you go. That makes you like, yeah.
I'm not afraid people know how old I am. I'm just worried about people who want to steal our identity, so maybe I won't say exactly. I'm in my early 40s, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm in my mids. Mid-40s.
Yeah. You want to share some research with us?
Yeah, well, I'll go through some other things. These are things we've personally seen, but all this is evidence-based or research-based. And then, in fact, this article that came out in 2019 was like basically why fasting might be a treatment that should be recommended by physicians. So I love the name of that title. And looked at a bunch of different different meta-analysis. Some of the things it actually improved brain function. It reduced stress in the brain. It reduced inflammation in the brain. It reduced seizures and their brain damage. It showed to be almost as effective in some instances as anti-seizure medications. It helps with the blood pressure. It helps the heart. It helps the cholesterol. It helps with insulin sensitivity. It helps you burn fat easier. It actually enhances anabolism. What that means is anabolism, like what's anabolist? Anabolism. And it's anabolic. So what it means is it actually keeps you having muscle mass. You don't lose the muscle mass if you fast correctly. So it's anabolic, so you keep the muscle mass. That's proven. There's stem cells are released in your gut, so your gut actually heals. It improves brain function, heart function, glucose tolerance. It boosts your immune system. So there's some really good information about boosting your immune system. Reduces the risk of diabetes and obesity, and helps prevent cancer, and promotes healthy aging.
Yeah. Well, I just want to hit on that boost the immune system also, because the frequency that we have been sick since we started fasting is way low, like way low.
Yeah.
We have been 10 times healthier.
And the rebound, I said, faster too.
Yeah, not as sick for as long and not getting sick as often. Like, the immune boost that you get from fasting is incredible. Yep. So just throw that in there as a personal thing also.
Right. So all those other benefits you get besides the weight loss don't happen with caloric restriction. And that's why fasting is vastly superior.
Yeah. Fasting is superior.
There we go.
And
so that's physical. Next time we're going to talk about mental and spiritual health that can happen with fasting.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll share this with someone that you want to fast with or that could use fasting in their lives. Thanks for being here.
See you next time.